Okay, good morning. This is day number 141 of making little videos to describe a day or thought in the life of a schizophrenic. My name is Dominic, and I experienced schizophrenia. I believe it is a cognitive war infliction of mental illness on me, and I have written a book on medium.com titled Unveiling the Schizophrenic Tradition that I hope to publish when I return from a trip for a hike that I'm taking in about a month. And uh, on day 17 of these videos, I describe why I call myself a schizophrenic rather than targeted individual. And on day 45, I express why I make these videos with a 3-minute intro and the rest of the video. In day 138, I describe my symptoms or experiences as a schizophrenic, or just a few of them a little bit, go into that. And I make these videos to humanize myself amidst defamation of character and uh, stigma that you receive as a schizophrenic or mental illness person with a mental illness. All right, so I start today. I read out a little thought log that I have, and a few things going on. In I start off I read a book, and in my Never Enough book, it discusses how highly competitive environments make people prove their worth just to get basic respect. And it goes on to talk about affirmative action, and the author interviews, this is a journalist for the New York Times. She interviews students at Columbia University, and in this particular section of the book, she's interviewing black students who uh, have to deal with animosity towards them, or what they perceive as animosity towards them, for affirmative action. And the black students were saying that because it's like such a highly competitive environment, that the other students blame them for not getting into Yale or something, and they have to deal with that as, like, there's starts to become like envy and just jealousy of other people, or not believing somebody's earned their way, or judging other people and stuff, and guarding yourself, guarding yours against everybody else's. And so the author goes on to talk about that affirmative action is held up as more of a problem than legacy admissions. So like your parents went to school, your grandparents, your sister, your brother, or something. And so people complain about affirmative action before they'll complain about legacy admissions and stuff like that. And so it's kind of interesting, I guess, on that respect. I'm not necessarily against affirmative act. I know I'm not against affirmative action, and I'm not necessarily against legacy admissions, but uh, it's kind of, more people should be allowed to go to college, and it should be more affordable for everybody. And we should be expanding. We should be trying to get as many people educated. But we should all be trying to keep on becoming educated as we go about our lives. There should be, I mean, in a real ideal world, we should be trying to educate ourselves constantly, and uh, you know, through personal avenues or whatever. That's kind of interesting because I saw something that said self-directed education far outweighs collective directed education. And I would say it's a little bit of a mix. I don't think you can make blanketed statements like that, but like, it is self-directed education is very interesting. I've had that self-directed education now that I'm out of school for so long, and it's more exciting, I think. But to start with school. It's exciting to go to a school and somebody has some sort of knowledge and why it's important in our world, and they put it at a university and they get young people to choose those majors and stuff. So, all right. Anyways, all right. So that's that. All right. I try not to have opinions on how other people individually live their life as much as possible. I save my opinions for collective decisions, social phenomena, or political phenomena. I may have personal taste for myself that gets repulsed or confused by things other people do, particularly when it abuses another, but not much because that's often just being part of freedom loving society and equality loving being. Of course, sometimes these things intersect and conflict with each other, but I discussed it was around I discussed it was around day 7 or day 8 in the Onion, but not in the Onion. My uh, video where I talked about the onion of freedom and the onion of control. The freedom and control intersect, and what creates freedom one way will create restriction in another way, and one layer what creates restriction and one layer will create freedom in another. And so, yeah, so I was just, I guess, to talk about that. I didn't, sorry, I read this. I don't want to try to read from here. I'll just look down and try to say what I had thought and stuff. So, yeah, that was my thought today on that. And I don't really try not to judge people for how they individually live. And that kind of conflicts sometimes, but uh, everybody should live their life the way they want to. And yeah, all right. So that was my thought on that. And so, all right. So I was going to talk about the lottery. It's up to $1.7 billion. And I talk about in my book how I want to win the lottery. I played the lottery. I don't talk about it in the book, but as a schizophrenic, I've gotten messaging way back when Hurley, who they used to call me the fat guy on, or Jorge Ramos on Lost, and he's a schizophrenic and he has all these numbers and he plays the lotto and he gets bad luck and stuff. And that's supposed to be a prediction of me. It's like a funny prediction of me in my life or whatever. And so, and then when I first started getting the voices, they said, "You won the lotto. You won the lotto." I didn't play for the lotto for a long time, and I was like, "Well, maybe I should play the lotto because I have a power where I think something and it happens." And so I thought to do that, and I started to say like I hope that. Uh, I call them the universe because I think everything in our world is controlled. We're either in like a simulation or we are in a like universe controlled thing where aliens come down and they control every aspect of our society, from games to uh, economics to stock market to pretty much every, just our brains and our thoughts in our head, and everything's being controlled. And so I start to think like maybe they'll rectify this folly of the world warring upon me and take and they'll let me win the lotto. But uh, I don't know. In any event, I started thinking about like if people win the lotto, there's like it's $1.7 billion. It would be nice if whoever won the lotto gave back to community, and that we don't have to be like mimicking the Jeff Bezos and the Elon Musks of the world and hoard our lotto winnings. And this goes into like judging other people what they do with their life individually. And so I'm just saying it collectively as regular lower class people or like regular class people, if we win lottery, we don't have to keep it all to ourselves, and we could give it away and uh keep something for yourself. I'm not saying don't I'm not saying to be selfless. I personally, I wouldn't be. I'm not. If you want to be selfless, all the power to you. But I wouldn't be selfless if I won. I would keep like 6 million. I think I decided if I ever won the lotto, I would keep 6 million. And uh, yeah. So I would give the rest away to like family and stuff. I'd give more money to charity than I would to family, but I would give a select amount to family, particularly when it's one of these giant payouts. If it's a smaller payout, then I'll probably take care of my family first. And yeah, I think if it's a smaller payout, I would. But on these large payouts and stuff, it's like it'd be nice if like you could. I was just thinking like the things that you could do as this thing has grown and stuff. I was just thinking like the things you could do with the money. You could build like rec centers for your community. You could build performing arts centers. You could build museums, like modern art buildings, really nice buildings that physical spaces for people to think in. And I was thinking about the idea that form follows brain activity, or form follows function, or something, or form. What's the word? It's like form before thoughts, or form before action, and it's like what we the aesthetic that we have creates it sparks creation in us. And so that's one of the problems with our system, is that people don't have money to create things and create enact visions in our society, because it's all in the hands of like a few thousand people. Anyways, but I was thinking like things you could do with the money. You could give to homeless shelters. You could build like homeless parks. Like if you see what's the guy that won the Christian Bale? He built a $22 million foster care center for kids who are in the foster system that age out of it, and he built like a little living space for them to stay with their siblings as they grow older. And I thought that was a really cool thing. He did that in Palmdale. And so you know I, I had this idea to build a minor league baseball parks for people like SoCal and stuff. And then Ontario, it turns out, was already doing that. And so, how did I get that thought in my head? Maybe they put the thought in my head. I don't know. And so that's gonna happen in Ontario. They're gonna build like a really nice little center for everyone to go to and stuff. And yeah, so the other thing I would probably do with the money if I won is I would give it to Gary Sinise. He has this charity where he gives money to uh, kids who are children of people who have deceased in wars, like soldiers and veterans of deceased in wars or whatever. And he takes them to Disneyland on a big trip or whatever. And I'll like to sponsor trips to other families to go to like Disneyland. That's one thing I could do or something. And so, uh, but I was just like thinking, like whoever wins, if you, this is going into like judging individuals or whatever, but it's more like a collective. Like as a collective, we could give more of that money away than rather than buy yachts or like expensive watches or stuff like that, or like I'm not you take care of yourself and set yourself up and set people you care about up, but like also think about how you could create nice things for everybody to enjoy or whatever. So yeah, that's my thought on it. And in some alternate universe or whatever, like with the Jorge Ramos thing, I was Hurley and I won the lotto, but it brought bad luck. I'm hoping this universe, if I ever win, it brings good luck. And uh, if I think that there's an intertemporal Hitler loving people who are blocking this thing, like the 88, 888. They even put it in my mind to love that number. I love the number 888 and 88. And it's a blockage of 777. So like there's an intertemporal war going on with like the Hitler people and the Heil Hitler people, and they're promoting 88 all the time, 88 888, and they're blocking the 777. And I think they're blocking Sophia, and they're blocking uh, the aliens from putting out the 777. But yeah, so I think it's an intertemporal war. And I just realized that this morning that the 888 number is a reference to the Hurley lottery thing. And it's so that's what I realized this morning. And that's what I came to think about this morning, as it's now what 1.7 billion is this thing or whatever. So yeah, all right, that's my thought today. Uh, uh, that's what's on my mind this morning, and I wanted to share that. And so, all right, I guess I could talk. I have a little bit of time here. Uh, I thought about jobs also this morning on today, and I was thinking like some places I would really like to work as MLB. I'd also like to work at KUSC, but they're not hiring. I was just thinking like if like someone does like data entry or something like that, maybe I could do like a data entry job. It's as a 40-year-old, it's hard to do physical labor like physical labor at 40 or whatever. Another job is like working at movie theaters, like Regal movie theaters or something like that. And so I think I might be a little young to work at Regal movie theaters. I don't know if I'll fit in. It's hard to fit in anywhere when you're 40 and you have the schizophrenia gap that took you away from working for so long. Now you got to get back into it, and you don't know how you're going to get into it. And so hopefully those are some ideas I have. Then I saw that the Getty is still hiring for this store associate, and so I can't really apply until I come back from Spain. But maybe a gift shop at a museum or something I could do, or a stalker in a store. Those are some jobs that thoughts that I have. Stalker at like Walgreens would be cool. Or so yeah, that's what I thought today. Those were my thoughts. So it's kind of some of them are repetitive from about 3 months ago, but okay, goodbye.